I had 37 stars, the 37 brightest stars in the sky I used for navigation on the way out and on the way back. But when I got to that pie-shaped wedge behind the moon, I couldn't find it because there were so many other stars. It was a wash of light. I could not see an individual star because there was so much light, so much starlight. So I did a little research on all that, and I come to the conclusion that we are part of the Milky Way galaxy. We're about 2/3 of the way out on an arm of the Milky Way galaxy. And the number of stars that we're looking at, we look through the Milky Way. We don't look down on it, but we look through it. But the number of stars in the Milky Way galaxy are somewhere up around 400 billion. 400 billion stars in our own little galaxy. And then you ask an astronomer, how many galaxies are there out there? And he will tell you, oh, a couple 100 billion. 10 years ago, you could have asked an astronomer, how many universes are there out there? And he would have said, you gotta be kidding, this is it. I mean, the Big Bang, the whole thing. Today, you ask an astronomer that, and he'll say, we really don't know. So we're learning. We're finding out that it's an infinite space out there, and it's infinite time. And there are planets out there, and I don't care how you cut the numbers, there are planets out there like Earth, and there are planets like Earth that have life, and there is life on those planets that is probably 1 million years advanced on us. I think there's no question about it. The question of UFOs comes up, nah, that's nonsense. But the question of intelligent species or like search for extraterrestrial intelligence, we're going to find it. We'll find it someday if they don't find us first. Because I guarantee you, they're there. Why do we have a space program? Well, a lot of people will give you lots and lots of different answers. I have my own personal answer, and it's something like this. What is the prime imperative of every living thing on Earth? I'm talking about prime imperative. What is the overriding goal of anything living here on Earth?
Survival.
Survival of the species. That is the absolute primary thing that we're about, okay? Every blade of grass, every tree, every animal, everything that's alive here on Earth has a way of making sure that its successors are okay and that it can expand. We're no different. So to me, the space program, even though we don't realize it, the space program is our very, very tiny baby steps getting us in a position where we can go somewhere else when we can't live here anymore. Now that might be 4 billion years in the future, but you got to start somewhere. And we've got some big obstacles to overcome, like figuring out how to go faster than the speed of light, which we'll figure out someday. You know, 75 years ago, everybody thought there's no way you go through the sound barrier, but we did. Now we're talking about you can't go faster than the speed of light. See, I don't agree with that. We're going to figure that out. We'll do that, and then we're going to be playing Star Trek. We're going to be doing warp 10 going somewhere. The nearest planet that's like Earth is 3.2 light years away. So if you went at the speed of light, you get there in 3.2 years. If you go warp 10, you get there in
Quick.
about 3 months. Yeah, about 36 days. Yeah. So that's what we got to be looking toward in the future. And I absolutely believe that is the main driver in the space program, even though we don't understand it or acknowledge it. And we go through our ups and downs based on political administrations and that kind of thing. But 1,000 years from now, we're going to look back on this and say, oh my God, look how far we've come. I do believe that. Now I'm going to give you the big one. If our whole purpose is to find another place that we can live when we can't live here anymore, how do you think we got here? Now, I leave that up to your imagination, but I have some pretty strong beliefs in it. And there's a lot of evidence that they're uncovering of the ancient Sumerians that will tell you that, yeah, they came from somewhere else. And that's who we are. So if anybody ever asks you, have you ever seen an alien? You say, yeah, I'm looking at one. Yes, you are. Okay. Questions? Yeah, okay, we'll break this off now. Just, if you got any questions, we'll answer.
We'll do a couple of quick questions and take our pictures, all right?
I was 39.
You got one?
What was your favorite experience?
Your favorite experience?
My favorite what?
Experience.
My favorite experience, doing a spacewalk on the way home. That was fun.
Furthest spacewalk from Earth at the time.
How intense was launch?
I was,
How intense was the launch?
that's a good question. I have to be honest with you and say they had to wake me up to make it. It wasn't that intense.
Really?
But you see, we had done that in training. We had probably simulated the launch 500 times. So it was like doing it all over again. And it was no big deal when we were finally there, yeah.
We have a bunch of people in the room that have pink stickers for the 130 tour. You'll make your tour. Don't worry. We'll be done momentarily.
That's us.
When did you fly?
It's 2 o'clock now.
When did you fly?
Stickers for
When did you go up?
1:30.
When did I, when was my
Tour
flight?
2, huh?
1971,
At 1:50 is
July
he's
26th
talking
to
about
August 7th,
tour
1971.
guide.
All right, we're-
Okay, one more.
One more,
That's what
right
he's
here.
supposed to be doing.
You are here, and so am I.
So what is your, what are the differences between the Orion, like the new program they're coming up with, and some of the other programs like Ian Musk? I mean, how would you compare those?
You really don't want to get me into that.
You got a good opinion.
Oh, I do have an opinion. I do have an opinion. Orion is just an Apollo on steroids, and I think it's a big mistake. Absolutely big mistake. Does not have the capability that we need to come back from Mars. And I could get into the technical side of it, but it's called lift to drag, and it does not have a L over D that will serve its purpose coming back from Mars. They're going to have to do some fudging and some kind of side things, but it disturbs me that 50 years after Apollo was designed and we want to go to Mars, we fall back on an Apollo design. Where is the innovation? Where's the inventiveness? Where is the dreaming of those guys?
It's gone.
And it just, as a matter of fact, I'll be very honest with you. I had a little consulting group, and we went to NASA headquarters and tried to talk them into another shape going to Mars, because, and it was General Electric engineers, and their whole life they had spent on reentry vehicles, on reentry vehicle design. And we had a design that was 8 times more capable than the one they got. But Houston had the bit in their teeth, and they were going to design an Orion like Apollo. You ask them, why are you going to design it that way? And they will say, because we know how to do that. You know how to do that, huh? Okay, how many of you were here when Apollo was designed? None. But they've got the records, right? So they know how to do it. So this is my big bitch with NASA. They just don't think.
What was your design that was so much better? Basically, 30 seconds.
Oh, it was a biconic. You know what I mean? Okay. You take 2 combs, you cut the top off one, and you stick the other one in at an angle. And it turns out to be an absolutely efficient reentry shape that you could pinpoint a landing anywhere on Earth. Because you could rotate this thing to change the direction of the lift. Now Orion you can a little bit, but the L over D on Orion is 0.27, and the one we tried to get them interested in was 1.75. Big difference. So anyway, I don't want to get into that too much. I get too emotional about stuff like that. Anyway, okay, pictures, guys, pictures.